We have a huge game to talk about in Region 7 AA, basically the Region 6 AAA title game as well, coming up right now on this episode of Gridiron Central.
Georgia Northwestern Technical College wants to help put you to work. Our programs in business, health, industrial, and public service will train you for the jobs available today. GNTC offers schedules in day, evening, and online classes at 5 campus locations with financial aid options too. You are sure to find a career path that works for you with our variety of degrees, diplomas, and certificates available. Visit us in person or on the web at gntc.edu. Georgia Northwestern Technical College, your career begins here.
Welcome back to the show. Due to technical difficulties, Matt was able to join me, but the audio from the show was completely unusable, so I'm having to do it again solo this time. I will tell you who Matt picked in his games. However, we start out Darlington and Model, big game in Region 7 AA. Both teams Model 5-0 on the season. Darlington 4-1. Both had Region 7 AA wins last week. This is not the Region 7 AA championship game. Obviously, it's too early in the season to consider it that. However, it is a huge game, and the winner of this game will be in the driver's seat for the Region 7 AA title. Basically, the way I look at it is this. You know, I go to Model. I've said all season long, if Model can score 24 points, they're going to beat practically anybody on their schedule. That will include Darlington. Model's averaging giving up just 8.8 points a game. I watched Model against Christian Heritage, was impressed there. I watched Darlington against Gordon Lee last week. If Trey Edge can get over the 200-yard rushing mark, Darlington is going to be a very dangerous team. I just think Model's defense and Model's two-headed tailback monster of Nakiah Watkins and Chris Dublin, along with a slightly better passing game than Darlington's, is going to be the difference in this game. However, if Darlington's defense can force a few turnovers, things could go differently. I think it's going to be a big game. I think Model's going to win the game. Matt Davis agreed with me. We're both picking Model to win this game, go to 2-0 in Region 7 AA. Coosa at Chattooga, the Region 7 AA opener for the Eagles. Chattooga last week beat Armurchie. They are 1-0 in the region. If the Indians want a shot at the playoffs, this would be a huge game for them to win. The Foster brothers, Isaac and Isaiah, are the big factor for Chattooga. If they can get going and on track, then they have a chance for the upset. However, I think Coosa is just too powerful overall. Justin Ware, tailback, had a great week last week. Coosa, I believe their offense and their defense is solid and is a team to watch out for in Region 7 AA. In fact, it would not surprise me one bit if the winner of that Model Coosa game or the Darlington Coosa game could end up being the Region 7 AA champion. Those games happen later in the season. I say Coosa gets on the board. They start off with a 1-0 win here in Region 7 AA. Matt agreed with me on this game as well. Armurchie at Gordon Lee. Both these teams lost their Region 7 AA openers last week. Gordon Lee to Darlington, Armurchie to Chattooga. Gordon Lee's got a pretty solid team. They threw the ball a lot last week, couldn't get the running game going. Armurchie is basically based off their running game. I think the game could be close, but I think in the end the Trojans are probably going to win this game. Matt agreed with me on this one. Gordon Lee wins at home. One more game before our commercial break. Landmark Christian at Rockmart. This is where Matt and I disagreed. Matt was picking Landmark Christian primarily because Landmark Christian did extremely well against Central Carroll back a few weeks ago. Central Carroll has a very good football team. Rockmart, one win came against North Murray late. Matt thinks Landmark Christian wins. I think Rockmart at home, having a bye week, getting ready to go into Region 5 AAA play where they're hoping to get a couple of wins and get into the playoffs, is enough momentum that the Yellow Jackets will get the home win. After this commercial break, we're going to have 4 more games to talk about. Stick around.
Georgia Northwestern Technical College wants to help put you to work. Our programs in business, health, industrial, and public service will train you for the jobs available today. GNTC offers schedules in day, evening, and online classes at 5 campus locations with financial aid options too. You are sure to find a career path that works for you with our variety of degrees, diplomas, and certificates available. Visit us in person or on the web at gntc.edu. Georgia Northwestern Technical College, your career begins here.
Welcome back to the show. As always, we'd like to thank Georgia Northwestern Technical College for helping bring Gridiron Central to you for the last 8 seasons. 4 more games to talk about. We started in Region 7, 5 AAA. Region 5, 7, yes. River Ridge at Rome. The Wolves 0-3 on the season. Looking to get their first region victory, looking to get their first victory of the season. Matt and I both agreed on this game. Keys for Rome: don't turn the ball over. Don't drop passes. Don't put your defense in tough situations, especially giving the other team's offense a short field, mostly based off of turnovers. If Rome is going to be a playoff team, they start that march to the playoffs with a win over River Ridge. They're scheduled the rest of the season. They have River Ridge, a winnable game. Then they have Dalton. We'll talk about whether that's a winnable game next week, but then Woodland, Sequoia, and Cass all look like games the Wolves could win. With a win over River Ridge, Rome could put themselves into position to get into the playoffs with a win in the Region 7 5A crossover game later in the season. I say Rome gets a win. Matt says Rome gets a win. Rome fans should be happy at Barron Stadium on Friday night. Adairsville at Calhoun in what is basically the de facto Region 6 AAA title game. Calhoun and Adairsville have both beaten Ringgold. Adairsville has also beaten Sonoraville. Looking at their schedule the rest of the way, Adairsville and Calhoun will be favored in every other game they play in Region 6 AAA. Calhoun has not lost a region game since 2001. Adairsville, however, might be one of the toughest tests Calhoun has faced in region play in quite a long time. Matt and I were both interested in possibly picking Adairsville in this game. We think Adairsville's defense has gotten better. Of course, the offense is quite good. Calhoun last week had some turnover issues, came back to beat Ringgold later on. If Calhoun has those turnover issues, most notably 4 fumbles, Adairsville will probably win this game. However, the games at Calhoun and the Yellow Jackets always seem to get up for those key games. We both go with Calhoun, but we both think this is a great game. And if you can't make it to the Darlington Model game, this would be another game that would be great to get to. We think Calhoun's going to win, but I think both of these teams are going to end up, I think you're seeing the number 1 and number 2 seed out of Region 6 AAA in this game, and both can make runs in the AAA state playoffs. Gridiron Central at Sonoraville. The Warriors are having a tough year. Sonoraville lost last week, big to Adairsville. I would say the Phoenix bounced back, as does Matt. We believe Sonoraville gets the win here. One last game, trying at Christian Heritage. The Lions, I got to see them against Model earlier in the year. They like to throw the ball a lot. Tryon, I got to see them against Armurchie earlier in the year. They like to run the ball a lot. Obviously, contrasting styles on offense. It's at Christian Heritage, so normally that would weigh me a little bit, but both Matt and I both jumped on the Bulldogs bandwagon in this one. This is the first Region 6A sub-region game for both teams. You know, Tryon really wants to get that high seed in the Class A public school state playoffs. To do that, you've got to beat Christian Heritage, even if it's on the road. I say they do. Matt says this exact same thing. We're both picking Tryon. That's a wrap. The 8 games we're picking this week. Be sure to come to PrepCentralOnline.com on Friday night for live scoring updates from these games, and come back later for articles and photos from the games. As well, don't forget to join us next week as Matt and I break down all the key games for next week and probably take a look back at this week, and as we start getting closer and closer to the postseason, what the playoff implications could mean. For Matt Davis and Jackson Witzel, I'm Jim Allred saying we'll see you on the sidelines.